Hey y'all. So, this is almost certainly not what you expected my next video would be. Yeah, I'm redoing the top 10 least favorite Pokemon list I made a year ago. If you've watched that one, great. Watch this one too, this one's better. The script will, for the most part, be the same, but some things have been swapped around, changed, added onto, or removed entirely. The main change I wanted to do with this new one is that Zangoose is no longer on the top 10 list. When I made the original video, I included Zangoose as a jab to one of my exes, and looking back, that was an extremely low blow, and Zangoose had no right to be on the list, let alone that high up. Since me and this ex have patched up our issues and are friends again, I felt it would be the right thing to make a new list, one without a personal attack like that, with just my honest opinions about my least favorite Pokemon. Before we begin, here's some honorable mentions and why I don't like these Pokemon. Cinderace. Firstly, because I'm not a big fan of rabbits, and because it's literally furry bait. Only reason it isn't on this list is because of how competitively viable it is. Meowscarada. While it grew on me a little, I still dislike it quite a bit. Again, it's because it's furry bait. I'm a furry, and even I think this shit is ridiculous, and I could argue even Lucario pushes the envelope a bit. Heatran. While it's my least favorite legendary Pokemon, I don't dislike it nearly enough to warrant getting on my top 10 list. Vaporeon. My least favorite evolution. That stupid f***ing copy pasta ruined this Pokemon for me, and while I don't dislike it to the point where it's in my top 10, I still dislike it now, which is sad because I actually used to really like this Pokemon. Finally, Squovette. I hate squirrels due to some personal reasons, and while I dislike it, there's another closely related squirrel Pokemon I genuinely hate that's on my top 10 list. There are more Pokemon I dislike, but I figured I'd mention these few, as all but Heatran were candidates to get onto this list. Again, let me preface that I don't hate every Pokemon on this list, but I do at least dislike them all to some degree. Entries 4 and up are Pokemon I genuinely hate. With that out of the way, let's begin. Number 10, Alomomola. Originally placed at number 6 on my old list, I felt it really did not deserve to be that high up. The only reason it's even on this list is because I was rooting for it to be a very much needed evolution to the Pokemon Love Disc. However, upon further research when Unova games came out, it unfortunately is not. I understand they probably didn't want to give any previously released Pokemon new evolutions in Unova, as they already did so many of them for Sinnoh, but Love Disc is already almost universally hated in the Pokemon community, and I feel Love Disc should have evolved into Alomomola. Maybe could have made some people not dislike it as much. Nice fumble, Game Freak. Number 9, Stonejourner. Stonejourner is on here plainly because I think he's one of the stupidest Pokemon designs ever. The first time I saw his design, I was not impressed, but seeing him in-game made it all the more worse. I'll be honest, he was one of the two reasons I considered picking Shield version over Sword, but I ended up getting Sword anyway. Ice-Q isn't winning any Best Pokemon Design Ever awards, but he's miles better looking than Stonejourner, and I have a bit of a penguin bias. Sentient Stonehenges, I guess, really are not my thing. Number 8, Lopunny. A Pokemon who was supposed to be on the original list, but was spared due to the petty Zangoose entry. Well, there's no escape for the Playboy Bunny this time. As mentioned before, I don't exactly like real-life bunnies or rabbits. Haven't since I was a kid. Baniri is actually a cute Pokemon, and I don't dislike it at all. However, once it evolves, everything just goes to hell. Did we really need an over-sexualized rabbit character? No. No, we didn't. I can't wrap my head around why this design was necessary. Do we really want a constant reminder of Hugh Hefner's legacy in our game, which, mind you, is geared towards kids? Well, I sure as hell don't. Number 7, Hawlucha. Hawlucha is on here because of the difficulties I faced with it in Pokemon X back when I was in middle school. I had heard from a couple of my friends back then that Hawlucha was a strong Pokemon, so when I encountered one in the wild, I aimed to catch it. However, this Hawlucha proceeded to sweep my entire team, leaving behind only my over-leveled Frogadier. I ended up giving up on catching Hawlucha and just focused on training the free Lucario you get later on. Not to mention, while I don't hate its design, it's decent. I feel like our first flying fighting type Pokemon could have been executed a little better than this. Number 6, Chestnut. This is my least favorite starter Pokemon of all of them. Had it been Cinderace, Chestnut would have escaped the list, but alas, he's here, since I've actually been able to use Cinderace competitively. Back when the final evolutions for the starters were revealed for X and Y, I knew immediately who I'd be choosing, who took the middle ground, and which one I would be staying far away from. I still don't understand how a cute little chipmunk can become this weird chipmunk-tortoise hybrid. Seriously, he looks like a fucking turtle! Is it because, oh, it eats so much nuts, so the nuts became part of its body, herder? Either way, this starter is butt ugly. Chespin is cute, but once it starts to evolve, it's all downhill from there. I even went as far as to giving the shiny Chespin I hunted for back then a goddamn Everstone, because I didn't want it to evolve. It was kind of silly to have a level 50-something Chespin, but I don't care. I was not letting it evolve into this piece of crap. Number 5, Emolga. Now, let me preface this by saying, other than Plusle and Minun, because of my personal attachment to the Pokemon Ranger series, I am not fond of any of the Pika clone Pokemon. No, Pikachu and its evolutions are not a part of this category for me. Emolga stands out as my least favorite of them all, though. Firstly, because I don't like real-life squirrels, as I mentioned before. My distaste for it started when I first fought Elisa in Pokemon Black version. Her Emolgas just kept volt-switching my team to death, and the only one who didn't put up much of a fight was her Zebstrika. I actually had to evolve my Duat into Samurott and my Herdier into Stoutland just so I could beat her. Granted, I was only 9, but still. Not to mention, I don't like its 3D model, it looks very disproportionate, and Iris's Emolga in the Pokemon anime annoyed me to a whole other degree. I really wish I could just punch this stupid-ass squirrel in the face. Number 4, Diggersby. This is hands down the ugliest Pokemon ever conceived. As mentioned, I don't like real-life rabbits, but at least real rabbits have a leg up on this hideous thing. They're cute. This thing is definitely not. Bunnelby is a decent-looking Pokemon, and I had originally caught one to use when I first played Pokemon X. However, I ended up boxing it because I didn't see a need for it at that moment. It wasn't until later when I'd applaud myself for making that decision. Later on in my playthrough, I ran into a Diggersby in a trainer battle and audibly gagged upon seeing it. Like I said in the original, what the fuck, Game Freak? This thing looks like that one uncle nobody wants to see or be around, and what's going on with those ears? Are they supposed to resemble biceps? It's disgusting. It's a real shame that the only new ground types in Gen 6 were this embarrassment and Zygarde. Just no. I'm moving on before I upchuck looking at this thing any longer. Number 3, Greedent. Remember how I said I really don't like squirrels? Well, it's even more prevalent in why I hate this thing. It literally looks like a fucking Disney movie reject. Like, Walt designed him and then was like, yeah, nah, let's go with something else instead. Though, those aren't the only reasons I hate it. As I'm a huge foodie in real life, I often like to play around with the food mechanics in Pokemon a lot. Making curry is one of my favorite things to do in Sword and Shield, but since berries are a necessity, I'd grind the shit out of berry trees and I'd encounter at least 2 of these ugly fat shits a day just trying to get berries. This is without a doubt the worst regional rodent we've ever gotten, and it will stay that way unless they come up with something magnitudes worse. I hate Greedent. Number 2, Medicham. Now, while Diggersby is the ugliest Pokemon, Medicham is the creepiest to me. I can't explain it very well, but it creeps me out more than even Jinx and Mr. Mime do, and those two didn't even come close to making it on this list. As I said before, it reminds me of a goddamn sex offender, though this isn't the only reason I dislike it. I had a habit of shiny hunting using the Ultra Wormholes back in Ultra Sun and Moon, and I ran into this f***ing thing way too many times. I caught one for the Dex, but after that, I fainted the rest. It got really annoying to see it all the damn time when I could have gotten other, better shinies. Seeing its creepy face all the time made me actively avoid the wormhole color it would appear in for a while after that. I love Hoenn, believe it or not, but Medicham is one of the worst Pokemon to come out of that generation. Meditite is alright though, he could stay. And finally, number 1, Volbeat. Yep, this didn't change and probably never will. I still hate Volbeat, and in fact, my hatred towards it has only grown stronger since the original Top 10 Worst Pokemon video. As mentioned in the original video, not only do I think it looks incredibly stupid in general, and when compared to Illumise, who in my opinion looks a little bit better, an experience I had with it a decade ago at this point is what solidified it as my least favorite Pokemon. I had an internet friend back then when I was an avid shiny hunter in my early teens. He asked me to hunt a shiny Meryl for him in Alpha Sapphire, and I accepted the challenge. The route I chose to hunt it on happened to have Volbeats on it as well. I had a good steady chain going, but then it breaks, and a Volbeat is waiting for me on the other side. But not a normal Volbeat, a shiny Volbeat! Needless to say, I was both pissed and surprised, but I messaged my friend asking if he wanted that instead. He said no, so I fainted it as I already had one. Now, my most recent experience with it was when I was playing Pokemon X on my homebrewed 2DS XL. My team was very underleveled at this point, and the best Pokemon on my team was an Axew who knew Dragon Rage that I transferred in. I was trying to get off a route so I could get to a Pokemon Center when I run into a trainer with only one Pokemon, a Volbeat. This Volbeat has Confused Ray, Moonlight, and Double Team on its moveset. With my underleveled team, this stupid f***ing Volbeat gave me a lot of trouble. It wasn't until I landed a crit with Axew's Dual Chop that it finally went down. That experience only worsened my opinion on this Pokemon. I do not think any Pokemon will ever top Volbeat as being my least favorite. It would take a catastrophic event to make me hate any Pokemon more than I hate Volbeat, this f***ing stupid Firefly. I hate you so much. Get out of my face! Well, that's it. Thanks for watching the redo of this video. I promise I will try to make more Pokemon content in the future, but I just haven't had a drive to do so, or YouTube in general, to be honest. Until next time, cuddle a Mudkip. See ya.